Alright, so let's quickly talk about the arrays and collections. Now, if we think about it, a variable you can store a literal value, right? You can store one value, whereas arrays used to store multiple values. Okay, an array is just a data structure that can store a fixed number of literal values, or you can also call them elements of the same data type. Um, these elements are stored in the memory. So in C Sharp, an array can be of one of the three types, which is a single dimensional, multi-dimensional, and a jagged array. Okay, but we're just going to focus on the single dimensional. Now, the arrays also they are index based. Like they are index based. Normally, most of the programming languages, when we talk about indexes, they always start from 0, 0, 1. For instance, if I have an array, so I can declare an array here. I can have an array string, and I'm just gonna call this countries. So by putting that square bracket, you're saying this is going to be an array. Oh my word, I always struggle to type things. String countries, and I can just say this is a new string. Okay, so also you can say this array can hold three values. Okay, and we can just go ahead and declare them using the braces, and I can say South Africa, and I can say Zimbabwe, and maybe Congo. Okay, so in this example we stored up to 3 cities, right? So the string 3, this string 3, it indicates the length. It specifies the size of the array, so it can only hold 3 cities. So and then the arrays, we added them using the braces, the curly braces. We can also declare the same array using the var keyword. Okay, now how about accessing a value in our own array? Let's say we want to access a value South Africa. So South Africa is actually where it's on index 0. This is 0, 1, 2. Okay, so now if we wanted to access South Africa, then we can print it out. We can say right line, which is countries, and we use square bracket, and then we pass the value there, which is the index value of 0. So if we just print it out, then we can see South Africa there. I don't know why this window always jumps to my other screen, but we can see the value of South Africa there. So also, if you don't want to specify the length, then we can do something like this. Okay, so you can also declare it like using a var. Okay, let me just remove this. So you can also declare a var. Let's say we say towns, and let's say cities, and then we can just say is new string, and then you can just put the cities like Joburg, 7 Cape Town. Okay, so you can also use the var just to declare an array. Okay, the thing is, if you're adding an array array elements at the time of declaration, then the size is optional. The size is optional. You don't need to pass the size. If I were to add another, maybe I wanted to add another country here, like I can say countries, and I want to add it on the seeds 01 012 on 3 on index 3, which is not there, and I do another country, maybe Angola. Okay, now this is gonna give me a index out of bound exception. So that is an error there that says, listen, you declared that the size is 3, but here you adding another city. So you'll see, if we sort of, okay, I just wanted to remove that. If we sort of console dot write line, then it's just going to give us actually I can loop through it. So I can say for each, and I can say var country in countries, and anyway, you see me doing this is because maybe I'm lazy. You can always use curly brackets on your yeah, but anyway, you can always use curly brackets. I normally don't use them, but you can just if you want to keep your code clean and all of that. And so you will say console dot write line, and then we can say country not country dot like that, country is it representing country in countries. So now this is going to give us an error, index out of bound error, because we added Angola there, which sort of yeah, it's out of the scope. So there we go. So it just says unhandled exception system dot index out of bound exception. So it gives us that exception. And listen, you said you wanted 3 countries, but here you are, you're adding the 4th one. Okay, we expected 4 countries. Okay. Okay, let's remove this. Now, what did I want to say now? Okay, there's also a short syntax that you can do to do the arrays. Okay, like I said before, that the size is actually optional if you add the array elements in the time of declaration, then the size becomes optional. So we can say string, which is some sort of a shorthand, and we can just say cities, and we can do something like, okay, something like this. Okay, this is just a shorthand or short version. So we can say throwback Cape Town, Devon. Okay, so we can actually add more because we did not specify the size. So it's gonna gradually expand. Port Elizabeth. Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure of the spelling, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So you can also, well, you saw I use like the for each because it's the easier one. So we can also use the for loop. The for loop will go something like this. So we can say for, and we can create a string I, or we can use var if you want to, and then we can say string I, and we can say as long as I is less than the number of cities dot length. I don't know, is it length or count? Always get confused when it comes to C# cities dot length, and then we want to increment I. No, we need an int. You're right. You're right there, because you can't increment I. Oh, I need to declare that I is 0 first. That's why that error is there. And so we can just look through it and say console dot write line, and we're gonna say cities, and then we pass the index, which is I. Remember, so what's gonna happen here if you think about it? So we initialize I with 0. So I is 0. So we say as long as 0 is less than the length or the number of cities that are there, go and print the first one. So remember, I showed you how we can access a value of by using the index. Okay, so now in the I is that index. Actually, I need not 0 here, I need to pass I. What am I doing? So if we print that, okay, it's just giving me the same, what was it? I think it's this one. It's just giving me that error there of out index. Anyway, this auto saves as well. Maybe I need to resave it. Now I can see all the cities here printed because of that for loop. So what's happening is that I is 0, which is the index, which is JPEG, right? So what it's gonna do, as long as I is 0 is still less than the length of the cities that is there. Okay, I mean, if we were to print the length of the cities, then it's going to tell us it's 4. It's going to give us 4 or something like that. If we console write line cities dot length, then it's going to give us 4. So basically, we're saying as long as I is less than 4, then we want to print the first one. So increment meaning is going to keep on adding on I, which is 0. It's going to add 1 on each iteration. On each iteration, it's going to add 1 on 0. Then 0 becomes 1. Then it's going to print what's supposed to be on 1, which is Cape Town, right? And then since 1 is still less than 4, it adds 1 again, it becomes 2, and then it's going to go and print what's on index 2, which is Cape Town. That's how the for loop works. But the for each is much easier one, of course. But it's up to you which one you want to use. So one thing that you must remember, what like the invalid array creation, we have to specify the size. Like I can't do something like this. I can't say int let's say odd numbers. Okay, I can like do odd numbers, and actually I need like this, and I say is new int. So already this must give me an error because I need to specify the size. If we go over that error, it says array creation must have an array size or an initializer. You see, so also the number. So let's say I give now the size. I give the size and say this is gonna be 5. But here I'm passing 5, 3, 5 as my values there. So also it gives me an error because the number of elements must be equal to the size that you've set up. So if we go over this error, it tells us it's in an array initializer of the length 5. Length 5 is expected. Okay, so you cannot also use var. So you cannot also say var, let's say odd numbers again, and here you say so you cannot use var as an array initializer, and then you say to 13 you cannot do that. You can't do that. So if you were to do that, then you must just say is new int something like that. Okay, this is punishing me because of the comma there of the dot there. Okay, so this is how you can, if you want to use var, but you can use it like this, just like I did here. You see here, this is allowed, but when it comes to var, you can't really do that. Okay, all right, so now I did show you how you can access the array. You just pass the index value if you want to access the array, and then via a loop you can always do like this. You can use for each, or you can use the for loop. Okay, now let's talk about, there's also link methods, like maximum, minimum, sum. Let's say we have int odd numbers. Okay, so we've got int odd numbers, and I always forget this, and this is new int, and let's just say 2. Okay, and I'm gonna pass 15 and 25 or any number there. All right, so now I can always, maybe I want to sum this, I can just say odd numbers dot sum. So this is the link query. It comes from the SQL. Remember the SQL, the aggregate functions. Then I can just sum that. So this will return what? It's gonna return the sum of those. So you might wanna, maybe you're building a program and you want to return the total or something like that. So you can always use the link queries. Okay, but there's a couple of link methods like max, mean, sum, average, those aggregate functions that we talked about the other day. And then there's also array methods like sort, if you want to sort them, maybe a descending order. Actually sort is gonna be ascending order. Okay, and then reverse is gonna sort on, like I can say, maybe I want to sort these values or these cities, and then I can just say cities dot dot reverse method, like this. Actually I need to call the array class. Let me see, does it allow me to do that? Yeah, it does allow me, because sometimes you need to call the array class, because the array comes from that array class. It comes from the collections. It comes from this collection, I think. Yeah. Okay, so so I can reverse the city. So now if I print, remember it started with Joburg, so I'm expecting to start with Port Elizabeth. Okay, my spelling of Port Elizabeth is out of order, so actually still starting with that. But anyway, you can always reverse. You can also loop through. Let's say we want to loop through these numbers. I'm gonna add the odd numbers. I'm gonna just add, okay, this is not even odd numbers, but I'm just gonna add a couple of numbers, which is, I need to change to 4 here, and we can always loop through, like so basically we can say, we can call the array class like this, and we can say dot for each, because it does come with the for each method. So you must notice the for each that we use for the normal looping that we use. Did I use it? Oh, I removed it. It's all lowercase, but this one, which is a part of the one that is the method of the array class, it's in a camel case, you see. So now I can say, I can pass odd number, and something like, and I can say x, which is x is some sort of a alias that I'm passing through console dot write line and x. So now this is just going to loop through, and then we can see all these numbers here: 15, 24, 30, and 25. All right, so that is a method that you can also get on the array. So we also have binary search and so on. Okay, so that's basically what array is. The next topic that we're going to look at is the array list, which is similar to the array.